evāsam Hare Krishna devotees, please accept my humble obeisance of the Shishur Prabhupada. Welcome devotees to today's Bhagavatam class. This morning we'll be discussing from from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 9, verse 33. And the chapter is entitled Answers by Citing the Lord's Version. And the class will be given by His Grace Prakshit Prabhu in place of Anandarupa Prabhu, who is not in town. So without further delay, we will start the class. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Mr. Can you advance the text? Yeah, up a little bit. Thank you for all of you for coming on. We always benefit tremendously when we hear Srimad Bhagavatam. So we'll start with Jaya Radha Madhava. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunya Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunya Vihari Gopi Jalavallabha Girivadadhari Jaya Gopi Jalavallabha Girivadadhari Yashodanandana Vrajajanaranjana Yashodanandana Vrajajanaranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunya Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunya Vihari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivadadhari Yashodanandana Vrajajanaranjana Yashodanandana Vrajajanaranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunya Vihari 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 Jayam Vishnupada Paramhansa Privajagacharya Astotar Satyasich Maharaj Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Sri Prabhupada Ki Jai Jayam Vishnupada Paramhansa Privajagacharya Astotar Satyasich Maharaj Divine Grace Sri Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananda Koti Vaishnavind Ki Jai Namacharya Sri Haridas Thakur Ki Jai ISKCON founder Charge Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai. Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhaktavinda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopinath Sham Kun Radha Kun Giri Gopalan Ki Jai. Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Mathura Dham Ki Jai. Navadvip Dham Ki Jai. Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai. Jagannath Swami Ki Jai. Ganga Mai Ki Jai. Jamuna Mai Ki Jai. तुलसी देव की जय भक्ति देव की जय हरे कृष्ण महामंत्र की जय सामवेद भक्तविंद की जय निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the lotus feet of Sri Sri Guru and Gauranga Prabhupada. Namo Vishnu Paraya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Swami Namne Namaste Krishna Raya Prabhupada Startpani Sri Gaura Karuna Shakti Bhakti Jyoti Namane Narayana Namaskritya Narotevam Narottamam Devim Saraswati Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayet Nashtaprayesva Bhadresu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Vidamastloke Bhakti Bhavati Naistiki Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna. This morning, Srimad Bhagavatam class is from Canto 2, Chapter 9, Text 33. And the text is a special text in that it is one of four texts that summarize Srimad Bhagavatam. So text 33, 34, 35, and 36 are we call them the Chatusloki. It's texts that, as I said, basically are the backbone of Srimad Bhagavatam itself. So text 33. Aham evāsam evāgre nānyad sad-asat param paścād aham etac yo vaśiṣyeta aham evāsam evāgre nānyad sad-asat param paścād aham etac yo vaśiṣyeta aham evāsam evāgre nānyad sad-asat param paścād aham etac yo vaśiṣyeta Hare Krishna.
Aham evāsam evāgre nānyad sad-asat param paścād ahaṁ etac yo vaśiṣyeta Hare Krishna.
aham evāsam evāgre nānyad sad-asat param paścād aham etac yo vaśiṣyeta ahaṁ. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Anyone else?
aham evāsam evāgre nānyad sad-asat param paścād aham etac yo vaśiṣyeta ahaṁ.
Hare Krishna. Anyone else? Maybe one more person. So we're moving forward now. Aham, I, the personality of Godhead. Eva, certainly. Evāsam, existed. Eva, only. Agre, before the creation. Na, never. Nānyad, anything else. Yat, all those. Sat, the effect. Asat, the cause. Param, the supreme. Paścād, at the end. Aham, I, the personality of Godhead. Yat, all these. Etac, creation. Cha, also. Ya, everything. Vaśiṣyeta, remains. Sa, that. Asmi, I am. Aham, I, the personality of Godhead. Translation by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Brahmā, it is I, the personality of Godhead, who was existing before the creation, when there was nothing but myself. Nor was there the material nature, the cause of this creation. That which you see now is also I, the personality of Godhead. And after annihilation, what remains will also be I, the personality of Godhead. Purport. I have to kind of forewarn you, it's a long purport, but we're going to go through it. Purport by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. We should note very carefully that the personality of Godhead is addressing Lord Brahmā and specifying with great emphasis himself pointing out that it is He, the personality of Godhead, who existed before the creation. It is He only who maintains the creation, and it is He only who remains after the annihilation of the creation. Brahma is also a creation of the Supreme Lord. The impersonalist puts forth the theory of oneness in the sense that Brahma, also being the same principle of I, because he is an emanation from the I, the absolute truth, is identical with the Lord, the principle of I, and that there is thus nothing more than the principle of I, as explained in this verse. Accepting the argument of the impersonalist, it is to be admitted that the Lord is the creator I, and that the Brahma is the created I. Therefore, there is a difference between the two I's, namely the predominator I and the predominated I. Therefore, there are still two I's, even accepting the argument of the impersonalist. But we must note carefully that these two I's are accepted in the Vedic literature, Katha in the sense of quality. The Katha says, Nitya Nityanam, Tetanas Tetananam, Eko Bahunam Yo Vidadati Kama. The creator I and the created I are both accepted in the Vedas as qualitatively one, because both of them are nityas and chetanas. But the singular I is the creator I, and the created I's are of plural number, because there are many I's like Brahma and those generated by Brahma. It is the simple truth. The Father creates or begets a son, and the Son also creates many other sons, and all of them may be one as human beings, but at the same time, from the Father, the Son, and the grandsons are all different. The Son cannot take the place of the Father, nor can the grandsons. Simultaneously, the Father, the Son, and the grandsons are one and different also. As human beings, they are one, but as relativities, or as relatives, they are different. Therefore, the relativities of the creator and the created, or the predominator and the predominated, have been differentiated in the Vedas by saying that the predominator I is the feeder of the predominated I's, and thus there is a vast difference between the two principles of I. In another feature of this verse, no one can deny the personalities of both the Lord and Brahma. Therefore, in the ultimate issue, both the predominator and the predominated are persons. This conclusion refutes the conclusion of the impersonalist, that in the ultimate sense, everything is impersonal. This impersonal feature, stressed by the less intelligent impersonalist school, is refuted by pointing out that the predominator I is the absolute truth, and that he is a person. The predominated I, Brahma, is also a person, but he is not the absolute. For realization of one's self in spiritual psychology, it may be convenient to assume oneself to be the same principle as the absolute truth, but there's always a difference of the predominated and the predominator, as clearly pointed out here in this verse, which is grossly misused by the impersonalists. Brahma is factually seeing face to face his predominator Lord, who exists in his transcendental eternal form even after the annihilation of the material creation. The form of the Lord, as seen by Brahma, existed before the creation of Brahma and the material manifestation with all the ingredients and agents of material creation. And the material manifestation with all the ingredients and agents of material creation are also energetic expansions of the Lord. And after the exhibition of the Lord's energy comes to a close, what remains is the same personality of Godhead. Therefore, the form of the Lord exists in all circumstances of creation, maintenance, and annihilation. The Vedic hymns confirm this fact in the statement Vasudevo va idam agram asin na Brahma nacha Shankara eko Narayana asin na Brahma neshana, etc. Before the creation, there was none except Vasudeva. There was neither Brahma nor Shankara. Only Narayan was there and no one else, neither Brahma nor Ishan. Srivai Shankaracharya also confirms in his comments on the Bhagavad Gita that Narayan, or the personality of Godhead, is transcendental to all creation, but that the whole creation is a product of avyakta. Therefore, the difference between the created and the creator is always there, although both the creator and created are of the same quality. The other feature of the statement is that the supreme truth is Bhagavan, or the personality of Godhead. The personality of Godhead and its kingdom have already been explained. The kingdom of Godhead is not void as conceived by the impersonalists. The Vaikuntha planets are full of transcendental variegatedness, including the four-handed residents of those planets with great opulence of wealth and prosperity. And there are even airplanes and other amenities required for high-grade personalities. Therefore, the personality of Godhead exists before the creation, and he exists with all transcendental variegatedness in the Vaikuntha Lokas. The Vaikuntha Lokas are also accepted in the Bhagavad Gita as being of the Sanatana nature, are not annihilated even after annihilation of the manifested cosmos. Those transcendental planets are of a different nature altogether. And that nature is not subjected to the rules and regulations of material creation, maintenance, or annihilation. The existence of the personality of Godhead implies the existence of the Vaikuntha Lokas, as the existence of a king implies the existence of a kingdom. In various places in Srimad Bhagavatam and in other revealed scriptures, the existence of the personality of Godhead is mentioned. For example, in the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 8, Text 10, Maharaj Pariksit asks, Sa chapi yatra purusho vishvasti tyo pyaya, mukvatma mayam mayesha shete sarva guhashaya. Question. How does the personality of Godhead, the cause of creation, maintenance, and annihilation, who is always freed from the influence of the illusory energy and is the controller of the same, lie in everyone's heart? Similar is also a question of Vidura's. Tatvanam bhagavam tesham katida patisankrama tatremam ka upashiran ka utsvit anushirate. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 7, Text 37. Sridhar Swami explains this in his notes. During the annihilation of the creation, who serves the Lord lying on the Shesha, etc. This means that the Transcendental Lord, with all his name, fame, quality, and paraphernalia, exists eternally. The same confirmation is also in the Kashikanda of the Skanda Purana in connection with Dhruva Charita. It is said there, Na chavante pi yat bhakta mahatyam pralaya padi. Atucho kile loke sa eka sarvago vyaya. Even the devotees of the personality of Godhead are not annihilated during the period of the entire annihilation of the material world, not to speak of the Lord himself. The Lord is ever existent in all three stages of material change. The impersonalists adduces no activity in the Supreme, but in this discussion between Brahma and the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Lord is said to have activities also, as he has his form and quality. The activities of Brahma and other demigods during the maintenance of the creation are to be understood as the activities of the Lord. The king or head executive of a state may not be seen in the government offices, for he may be engaged in royal comforts. Yet it should be understood that everything is being done under his direction and everything is at his command. The personality of Godhead is never formless. In the material world, he may not be visible in his personal form to the less intelligent class of men, and therefore he may sometimes be called formless. But actually, he is always in his eternal form in his Vaikuntha planets, as well as in other planets of the universes as different incarnations. The example of a sun is very appropriate in this connection. The sun in the night may not be visible to the eyes of men in the darkness, but the sun is visible wherever it has risen. That the sun is not visible to the eyes of the inhabitants of a particular part of the earth does not mean that the sun has no form. In the Brihad Aranyaka Upanishad 1.4.1, there is a hymn, Atmevedam Agra Asit Purusha Vida. This mantra indicates that the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, existed even before the appearance of the Purusha incarnation. In the Bhagavad Gita 15:18, it is said the Lord Krishna is Purushottam because he is the Supreme Purush, transcendental even to the Purusha Akshara and the Purusha Shara. The Akshara Purusha, or Mahavishnu, throws his glance over Prakriti or material nature, but the Purushottam existed even before that. The Brihad Aranyaka Upanishad therefore confirms the statement of the Bhagavad Gita. The Lord Krishna is the Supreme Person, Purushottam. In some of the Vedas, it is also said that in the beginning only the impersonal Brahman, in some of the Vedas, it is also said that in the beginning, only the impersonal Brahman existed. However, according to this verse, the impersonal Brahman, which is a glowing effulgence of the body of the Supreme Lord, may be called the immediate cause. But the cause of all causes, or the remote cause, is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Lord's impersonal feature is existent in the material world because by material senses or material eyes, the Lord cannot be seen or perceived. One has to spiritualize the senses before one can expect to see or perceive the Supreme Lord. But he is always engaged in his personal capacity, and he is eternally visible to the inhabitants of Vaikuntha Loka, eye to eye. Therefore, he is materially impersonal, just as the executive head of the state may be impersonal in the government offices, although he is not impersonal in the government house. Similarly, the Lord is not impersonal in his abode, which is always Nirashta Kuhakam, as stated in the very beginning of the Bhagavatam. Therefore, both the impersonal and personal features of the Lord are acceptable, as mentioned in the revealed scriptures. This personality of Godhead is very emphatically explained in the Bhagavad Gita in connection with the verse Brahmano hi pratisthaham, Bhagavad Gita chapter 14, text 27. Therefore, in all ways, the confidential part of spiritual knowledge is realization of the personality of Godhead and not his impersonal Brahman feature. One should therefore have this ultimate aim of realization, not in the impersonal feature, but in the personal feature of the absolute truth. The example of the sky within the pot and the sky outside the pot may be helpful to the student for his realization of the all-pervading quality of the cosmic consciousness of the absolute truth. But that does not mean that the individual part and parcel of the Lord becomes the supreme by a false claim. It means only that the conditioned soul is a victim of the illusory energy in her last snare. To claim to be one with the cosmic consciousness of the Lord is the last trap set by the illusory energy or Devi Maya. Even in the impersonal existence of the Lord as it is in material creation, one should aspire for personal realization of the Lord. And that is the meaning of paścād aham yat etac vaśiṣyeta so mi aham. Brahmā also accepted the same truth when he was instructing Narada. He said, Soyam te bhihitas-tata bhagavan vishvabhavama. Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 7, Text 50. There is no other cause of all causes than the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Hari. Therefore, this verse, aham eva, never indicates anything other than the Supreme Lord. And one should therefore follow the path of the Brahma Sampradaya, or the path from Brahmaji to Narada to Vyasadeva, etc., and make it a point in life to realize the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Hari, or Lord Krishna. This very confidential instruction to the pure devotees of the Lord was also given to Arjuna and Brahma in the beginning of creation. The demigods like Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwara, Indra, Chandra, and Varuna are undoubtedly different forms of the Lord for execution of different functions. The different elemental ingredients of material creation, as well as the multifarious energies, also may be of the same personality of Godhead. But the root of all of them is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. One should be attached to the root of everything rather than bewildered by the branches and leaves. That is the instruction given in this verse. Om Haganatvidandasya Gana Ganashalakaya Chakshu Amritam Jena Tasmai Sri Guruve Namah Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swaha Padantikam Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pesaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharine Nirvishesha Sunyavari Paścād Sitarine Namo Mahavaranyaya Krishna Prema Padayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namni Bhutale Namah Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Vasari Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So the English translation again. Brahma, it is I, the personality of Godhead, who was existing before the creation, when there was nothing but myself, nor was there material nature, the cause of this creation. That which you see now is also I, the personality of Godhead, and after annihilation, what remains will also be I, the personality of Godhead. Hare Krishna. So this first text definitely asserts the supremacy of Sri Krishna. It is so important that the Lord explained it in such a way that we can draw a very interesting conclusion to the statements made by the Lord. One word. Without the Lord, there is no existence. No Krishna, no existence. Because he said he was there before the creation. He's the cause of the creation. Before then, there was nothing but himself. Material nature was not there. And now the material nature is there through his expansion of Mahavishnu. And it will be there for a while. And after annihilation, when Mahavishnu breathes in, the destroyed universes, they don't go in like that, they get destroyed first by fire and then by rain, goes back into the body of Mahavishnu, who is an expansion of the expansion of the expansion of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that's who is going to be there for material creation. Now, the spiritual manifestation is always there. That's from Lord Balaram. So, And Balaram is also the first expansion of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, existence in the spiritual or the material is all caused by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. Therefore, if you come to Krishna consciousness, you really have come to the connection to the ultimate of understanding of spirituality. That is Krishna. Now, how or why did Krishna begin to answer the questions this way? There were questions put by Lord Brahma. First, Lord Brahma, a little history, and he was, okay at the time, Lord Brahma was asked to undergo tapa, penance, which he did. He underwent penance for 1,000 years of the demigods. So 1 day of the demigods is 6 months of our time. Now, when they say 1 day, it means 1 day time, not the day and night. The daytime is 6 months. Nighttime is also pretty much the same measurement of time. So to go from 1 day in the morning through the night to the next morning, you've gone through basically 1 year, or the close number to it is 360. We know our years, we say 365 and so on, but make it simple, 360. Therefore, if anyone hears so many years with the demigods, what does that translate to our time? All you have to do is multiply by 360. Then you get the number of years, the earth years. So Lord Brahma underwent penance for 1,000 years, which means 1,000 years of the demigods. That means 360,000 years of our time, earth years. Now, I might say that's a very long time. Well, Lord Brahma lives way, way longer than that. He lives trillions of years, hundreds of trillions of years. So that was in his time, that was a relatively short period. So after that, he did it very successfully, so successfully that Lord Vishnu revealed himself. Not only himself, but he also revealed the realm of Vaikuntha. Lord Brahma did the penance so well that Lord Vishnu was very satisfied with him. That's our first lesson. Any service that we have to do, we're given an opportunity to do, we have to do with the highest quality. Do so well that the spiritual master will be very pleased with us. One of the best things that a disciple can hear from the spiritual master is when the spiritual master comments that the disciple has done such wonderful service. Remember, the spiritual master is not an ordinary man. He's a representative of Krishna. So if he's pleased, Krishna is pleased, Radharani is pleased, and that person, even as a conditioned soul, has the opportunity to go back to Godhead. So our quality, the quality of service, becomes extremely important to make sure that we get the favor of the Lord. Because after all, by the mercy of the Lord, we get to go back to Godhead. We get to go back to Godhead. We put in our best effort. Anyway, Lord Brahma began to ask questions. And that is in Canto 2, this same chapter, chapter 9, but the earlier text. Lord Brahma, from text 25, begins to first assert the supremacy and the position of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That's also a lesson. Before we ask anything, we have to first acknowledge the position of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Even when devotees of the Lord, if you read in the Shastra, they are in anxiety and they need help right away. And if they contacting the Lord, they don't go to the Lord, Lord, please help me right away. No. They always say, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, you are so and so and so and so. They line up all the titles or the capabilities of the Lord connected with what they are about to ask for. But still, they put the Lord at a position that you are supreme. And that's why I'm coming to you. Then they put whatever their grievances in front of the Lord. Uttara did it. Uttara is Maharaj Parikshit's mother. When Ashwatam threw a Brahmastra, which is like way bigger than nuclear weapons that we have here, to try to kill Maharaj Parikshit in the womb, Uttara, at that time, pregnant Uttara, came running to the Lord, asking the Lord to save the child. But she started by saying that the Lord is a supreme mystic. If anything can be done and done well, it can come through Krishna. So she put Krishna's position high, acknowledged that he's the supreme, then asked the question. And that's the way we should do also. When we ask the spiritual master question, we do what? Sometimes the pranam. Or the shorter, please accept my humble obeisances, all glories to the Prabhupada. Accept my humble obeisances. So we humble ourselves in front of the Guru. Then we ask a question. Or sometimes we go to the whole pranam. So very, very important that we incorporate that and be always aware of that. So Lord Brahmā is saying, in spite of the Lord's position and that he is in the heart of everyone, he could actually, he, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, could guide Lord Brahmā without Brahmā having to ask any questions. He can. But he said, in spite of that, Brahmā said, oh my Lord, I'm praying to you to kindly fulfill my desire. May I please be informed, see how the word is used, everything is respectful. May I please be informed how, in spite of your transcendental form, you assume the mundane form, although you have no such form at all. Now let's break it down a little bit. May I please be informed how, in spite of your transcendental form, you assume the mundane form. When a person assumes the mundane form, it does not mean that the ingredient of that form is mundane. The form itself may be. Just that when Krishna came to the earth, 2 hands, 2 legs, some people just, he just looks like us. But he's transcendental. Yet, he had the form that looked like a human being. So, this is what Lord Brahmā is saying. You assume the mundane form, although you have no such form at all. Although your form is in fact spiritual, it's not mundane. That's his first question. And then he also says, inform me, please inform me how you, by your own self, manifest different energies for annihilation, generation, acceptance, maintenance, by combination and permutation. Using your energies, please inform me how you manifest these from your own self for the way the material world operates. The creation, the annihilation, the generation, how things are generated. He asked that question because he's going to help with the secondary creation. So he needed to know this. And then he also asked, I'll just put for sake of time, one last question. Tell me so that I may be taught in the matter by the instruction of the personality of Godhead, and may thus act instrumentally to generate living entities without being conditioned by such activities. And this is a very nifty question, the way he put it. He said, answer me these questions, please, Lord, so that when I get ready to create living entities, I won't be affected by the 3 modes of nature that the living entities are going to live by. That ties into the very first question. The first question, he says, how have you assumed a mundane form, although you don't have that form at all? So he was thinking, the Lord doesn't have mundane form. The Lord is spiritual. So please, Lord, help me to create so that the same mundane energy doesn't affect me either. That's why I put that question there. So anyway, in answering these questions, the Lord then quotes the Chaturshloki, the 4 texts, and which is Srimad Bhagavatam, this canto, this chapter, canto 2, chapter 9, text 33, 34, 35, and 36. And today's verse is the very first one, text 33. So there are a few things about this text, but in general, it's really citing the supremacy of the Lord. Srila Prabhupada's purport is quoted from several places, but the bottom line is, even when let's start with when the impersonalists, they're trying to link Lord Brahma to be the same as the Lord in quality. And Lord Srila Prabhupada is saying, all right, so there's Brahma and then there's the Lord. The impersonalists have linked the two in a wrong way. One is the creator and the other one is created. Lord Vishnu created Lord Brahma. Prabhupada Vishnu created Lord Brahma. So Brahma is the created I, and Lord Vishnu is the creator I. Therefore, Lord Vishnu is the predominator, and Brahma is predominated. The other way that says that Lord Brahma is the predominated is that he's the one asking questions. Predominators don't ask questions, they have the answers. Lord Brahma is the one asking the questions, so he's the predominated. So even if these impersonalists say I and this one is another I, well, there's a difference between the two. Quality-wise, that's by the Lord's own, they may be same. But quantity-wise, one supports the other. And that's what's said in the Kathopanishad. Nityanam, Chaitanya, Chaitanam, the one person supporting, one personality supporting everyone else. Eko Bahunam Yo Vidadati Kama. The Supreme Lord is the one that supports everyone else. And that's why sometimes the Srila Prabhupada criticizes or questions why in some of the religious prayers we ask, please, Lord, give us our daily bread. The reason Srila Prabhupada found fault with it or didn't think it was necessary, I shouldn't say using fault, but think it wasn't necessary, is that the Lord, without many of these non-human type bodies asking for bread, he supplies everybody. The elephants get food to eat, all the other animals, the fish, on and on and on and on. They all get fed on a daily basis. So why should a human being use his intelligence to say, just give me bread? And that was the point he was making. If he'll supply to everyone of these bodies that are not even human, he would definitely supply human beings. So then he might say, why do some people get hungry? Why is there famine? Why is so and so? Well, that's karma related. You reap what you sow. If in previous life you do something bad, well, then you're going to be put in a situation where the repercussions would come. So sometimes those who've done the most cruel things, taking people's life in a very vicious way, they get born in a place where there's war, and they get treated badly. So nobody can blame the Supreme Personality of Godhead when there's inhumanity from man to man happening, because those who are in the tail end of it are actually going through trouble that they themselves generated, reactions to trouble that they themselves generated. But be that as it may, we won't even belabor that so much. The world is like that. We have to learn lessons from our activities. But when we actually turn to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then we are actually situated in the correct consciousness and what saves us. And in this text, it is being stated here that, yes, there is quality between Father and the Son, and even the Son may beget other sons. They all may be the same in terms of them being human beings, but the Father is the head. Like that. So Srila Prabhupada used several ways to describe the Supreme Personality of Godhead, ending in the fact that he is the topmost. Nobody is at his level and nobody is above him. As it says in Bhagavatam 1:1:1, the Lord is Ashamudva. Nobody can come to his level and nobody can be greater than the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That should be clear to everyone. And he quoted Bhagavad Gita, which I quote here, chapter 15, the Yoga of the Supreme Person, text 18, because I'm transcendental, this is the Lord describing himself, beyond both the fallible and infallible, and because I am the greatest, I am celebrated both in the world and in the Vedas as that Supreme Person. Now, it doesn't get any better than that. He is topmost. So nobody should be, sometimes we stress these, but the reason is that sometimes we go to different circles and everybody's saying, people do circles, they may be singing the praise of Lord Vishnu, then they add Lord Shiva to it, and then they add Durga to it, and then they're all the same. Not true. Not true at all. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is Sri Krishna, and Durga and Lord Shiva, they get their capabilities from Krishna. Nitya Nityanam Chaitanya Chaitanya. That's why it's there. So there is no other cause, of course, than Supreme Personality of Godhead. Now, with the few minutes that we got left, some of you may remember that I was doing a series of very important points about what a particular Brahman called the Avadut Brahman was living his life. So we were almost at the very end when I fell sick. And so today, hopefully, we'll be able to complete that. The Avadut Brahman was learning from 24 personalities and things. We called them, because he was learning from them, they were his teachers. So he called them gurus, guru as teacher. This is in the 11th canto, chapter 9. Actually, it starts from chapter 7, but towards the end, chapter 9. So we wrapped up practically every point about the 24 gurus. And then the Avadut Brahman now was talking to King Yadu. So he said, "O king," this is from text 24, "from all these spiritual masters, I have acquired great wisdom. Now, please listen as I explain what I've learned from my own body." And you know, we all have bodies. So now we can. The material body is also my spiritual master because it teaches me detachment. Now, people who are not, people who are in illusion, they don't realize that detachment is the best thing. But that's another subject for another time. The material body teaches me detachment. Being subject to creation and destruction, it always comes to a painful end, which means if I take one body, it's going to have a painful end. Then another body is going to also have a painful. Death is always painful. Nobody dies smiling, needless to say. So, although using my body to acquire knowledge, I always remember that it will ultimately be consumed by others. And then, because of that, I remain detached. In other words, I don't put too much quote unquote real estate in this body because I know it's going to end and it's not going to end nicely. And whatever I acquire is going to be left behind. Krishna comes as death and takes it all away. So I don't get so attached to what the material world and the material body gives me. I live, this is basically, I'm saying I in terms of the Avadut Brahman speaking. So remaining detached, then Avadut Brahman moves around in this world. Then he went through some things about the body. Very familiar. Text 26. A man attached to the body, what do? They accumulate money and they go through a great struggle to accumulate money. To do what? To expand property and protect the position of his wife and the children and the property and the domestic animals and the servants and the homes. You go to Hollywood, there's very big homes that sprawl over so many acres. The other day, I don't remember his name, Devamiswamy. He made a joke about this. Says, listen, people acquire all this money and they build huge mansions and all kinds of amenities. But at the end of the day, when they get tired, they go to bed. The bed may be very big, it may be very well decorated, but how much space on the bed do they occupy? The same old space that a poor person occupies. That's all they get because the body is this big and it can only occupy so much space. To all of this. Is done for gratification of his own body. The rich man, a man attached to the body. Now, as a tree before dying, this is some wisdom here. As a tree before dying produces the seed of a future tree, the dying body manifested the seed of one's next material body in the form of accumulated karma. So accumulated karma is the seeds of a person that's dying. Because when the person dies, the karma that's accumulated then forms the next body. Another one comes. Just like a dying tree gives the seeds, the tree dies and new seeds come. Another life. So that was one realization. Now, the other one, and okay, it's 8:53. A man who has many wives is constantly harassed by them. Again, an analogy to the kid. He is responsible for the maintenance, and thus all the ladies constantly pull him in different directions, each struggling for her self-interest. So similarly, the material senses, they also harass the conditioned soul. They're pulling in many different directions. One side, the tongue is there. There's some nice, tasty food. The tongue wants that. And then he also wants a suitable drink. Then the sex organs clamor for satisfaction. And in the sense of touch, demands nice, soft, sensuous objects to touch. Then the belly harasses him until he feeds the belly. Then the ears want to hear some pleasing sounds. And then the nose wants to smell some very, very nice, pleasant aromas. And the eyes clamor for very wonderful sights. Thus, the sense and the senses, the organs and limbs, they all desire satisfaction. They pull the poor living entity in many, many directions. The Brahmā has noticed that. So, finally, because there's so much desire, different bodies are there, the Supreme Personality of Godhead made all of these innumerable species of life, we know it's 8,400,000, to house the conditioned soul. And then he finally said, but creating the forms of trees and reptiles and animals and birds and snakes, the Lord was not satisfied within his heart. So then he created human life, which offers a conditioned soul sufficient intelligence to perceive the absolute truth. So this particular body that we're in, the human body, it is very, 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 very rare. After many, many, many births and deaths, one finally achieved this rare human form that offers the opportunity to attain the highest perfection. Yet so many people in this world don't even know what the highest perfection is. That we're supposed to serve Lord Vishnu, to satisfy him, and then with his mercy and the mercy of Guru and Guranga, we get to go back to the spiritual world. So, our good Brahman says, having learned this from my spiritual masters, then I remain situated in the realization of the absolute personality of Godhead. I'm fully renounced, and being enlightened, I wander the earth without attachment or false ego. So this is the mood we're supposed to be in. Everybody else may see us as one human being with a family and whatever, but our consciousness should be, we are fully renounced. We're not having anything in this world sway us into sense gratification. Because if we do that, the world will prove us wrong. Why? Because death will come and take it all away. And we have a human body better than all the other types of bodies. So the human body can understand God. The others cannot. So then God realization, which is especially explained so nicely here by Srila Prabhupada in his purports, is what we should be about. So the conclusion is, we should be attached to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is from this text. This text today, text 83. We should be attached to God consciousness because he is the reason for existence. Without him, there's no existence. One, just like Abadut Brahman said, never get bewildered by the phantasmagoria of material creations. There's plenty new ones that are going to come. Now, science has got to the end where there's so many combinations and permutations, and they're going to throw it at you. New things, because it's easy to combine once you know so many ways to combine things to come up with endless number of products and advertise that. Don't get swayed into that. Endless combinations and permutations of the material energy. Now, who is the most merciful form of the Lord? God Chaitanya. He has come in his most merciful form to instruct us to chant our way back home. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So whatever is in there here in this material world, it may look fascinating, but it is really nothing compared to what the spiritual world can provide. Sometimes even devotees get mesmerized into, because we're in a country that has so much materially to offer, and because we've got a good job and we can pay our bills and we have some money left over, and around us in our neighborhood it looks nice, so we think, oh, this is how good it gets. We are so wrong, it's not funny. If only you knew what was in the spiritual world, we'll be kicking ourselves and why are we living in this poor situation and calling ourselves quite well-to-do. Nobody's well-to-do in this material world. We just think we are. Besides, in the spiritual world, there's no old age, there's no disease, there's no death. Therefore, we should be connected with the Supreme Personality of Godhead in Bhakti Yoga and never think of leaving it. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much. Yes, this the purport is what took the longest to read. It was like 20 minutes actually, which was pretty long, but thank you for actually breaking it down for us to understand, the predominator I and the predominated I,
Yeah.
the creator I and the created. That's so important. I know we passed the hour because, again, because of the long purport, but if anyone has any questions or any comments or clarification, please do raise your hand, and or you can put in the chat, and I'll be happy to read it. I do have a question when you spoke about the Avadut Brahmin, and you said that he had 24 gurus, and you were mentioning Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 11. And I am going there and I want to see, do you know where it starts by describing? Here it says the 7 remaining.
It starts towards the end of chapter 7.
Ah.
And it goes through all of chapter 8 and ends at chapter 9.
Chapter 7.
Yeah.
Here. No, chapter 7, sorry.
The Lord instructs Uddhava.
Okay.
The reason that title is there, the Lord instructs Uddhava, is so the Lord was getting ready to leave here, the material world. Uddhava, who is a very close associate of the Lord, wanted to go back to the spiritual world with him. And Krishna said to stay. And so in telling Uddhava to stay, Krishna advised Uddhava to live in this world in a detached or renounced way, which is exactly the way that Avadut Brahman is living. Okay. So in doing that, in telling Uddhava to live like that, he decided to tell the whole story. Krishna decided to tell Uddhava the whole story about the Avadut Brahman and how he lived his life, so that Uddhava can learn and live the renounced life while he was on the earth, where everybody else was gone. So this is how it all started.
Okay.
Yeah.
Would like to read this. Yeah. Perfect. Thank you.
It's very nice.
I really want to read this. Thank you so much. We'll read from the beginning here. All right. Thank you. That caught my attention when you spoke about the Avadut Brahman. Any other questions, please do raise your hand, put in the chat, or I'll be happy to, or you can, jump right in if you need to. And if there is, I'm going down the list, and I know we passed the hour. I thank you all for joining the class, and please do stay on with the process of hearing, so that we can take shelter of Krishna in the form of Srimad Bhagavatam, none different than the Lord himself.
And
Thank you all so
also
much.
apologize for my voice being hoarse. It wasn't hoarse when I started, then all of a sudden it got very hoarse.
You are still recovering, so that's
Yeah,
understandable.
that's true. I just didn't
You're
expect
still
that.
recovering, so that will happen. So
All
yeah,
right,
need
Hare
some
Krishna.
rest. Thank you all so much. Vanchakaptibhyascha,
Kripa
Kripasindhubhyo,
Sindhu
Patitanam Pavanebhyo, Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Have a wonderful day, devotees. Hari Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna. Go Shri Prabhupada. Jai.